Welcome back to DIY Willie. It's a windy day here in Southern California. See the trees blowing. I hope this doesn't come over on the video too much. I put the filter on the camera to hopefully take away that wind sound. But today we have the 2008 Nissan Frontier 4x4, Titan swapped, crew cab, all that good stuff, and it's got a check engine light. So I've got the scanner out here, and we're gonna get in there and see what it is. And there's the plug for the truck. So you just take it, it's kind of got slants on it, the way you see that. Take that, plug it in like so. That'll power up the scanner. Now we just turn on the key, we'll be able to read the code. So put the key in, not start the vehicle, but just get it to turn on like that. That way the scanner goes in, we can select OBD2, that's a mouthful. Now the scanner is communicating with the vehicle, and it shows one code found, which is good. Yes, we'll go ahead and we'll erase previous data. Let's see. Yes. Please wait. I don't remember what data that could be. It could be probably the Silverado. That's why we're erasing it. So we've got read codes, stored codes. We have a P0305. That's cylinder 5 misfire detected. Let's go back, check pending codes, see if there's anything there. Same thing, P0305, cylinder 5 misfire detected. So looking at the front of the engine, cylinder 5 is the furthest cylinder to on the passenger side. You have 1, 3, and 5, 2, 4, and 6 on the driver's side. So we want to look at right there, cylinder number 5, the coil. There's a few things that could cause that P0305. First off, we would definitely want to look at the coil. What we could do to test the coil is move the coil to another cylinder. If the misfire moves to that cylinder, then we know it's the coil. Also the spark plug, we can move the spark plug to a different cylinder again. And if the misfire moves to that cylinder, we know it was the spark plug. Now there are some other things that could cause this, like the injector being bad. Like on the Silverado, it had a bad injector. So we would have to get in there and test the injector. The injector rail, unfortunately, is underneath the plenum on the Nissan 4.0. So that'll be a little bit harder to do than just changing the coil. We're probably going to do the coil first and then the spark plug. Maybe I'll put the coil on number 2 and the spark plug on number 4. That would be the easiest ones to reach. And then clear the codes, start the truck, and see if the misfire moves. It should move. You know, that's what we expect it to do, and I expect it to be a coil, not so much. The spark plugs are fairly new. They're iridium plugs, and they've been in there about a year, and they should be good for a lot longer than that. They're usually about 100,000 mile plug, and these plugs have nowhere near 100,000 miles on them. So I mean, even it is a man-made part and it can fail. Could easily have failed, but I don't think so. I think it's going to turn out to be a bad coil. Man, that's a lot of wind. I hope that's not coming across on the camera. Whew, bad day to film. Oh my gosh. So we're gonna get in there, we're gonna change the coil over, like I said, to number 2, and the spark plug to number 4, and we'll see if that misfire moves around. We'll clear the code and start it up, take it for a drive. Okay, so down in there we have the 10mm bolt, and we have the plug on the coil. I'll just squeeze the release on the plug, pull it off, take the 10mm bolt out, and the coil will pull straight out. We're going to put it on number 2 cylinder. All right, so to make it easier, I took off this vent hose here, and you can pull the coil straight out this way. It gives you the clearance to get it out, and to unplug it really takes two hands, but you just squeeze the bottom here and pull out. Now I'm going to put this coil on the other side on number 2, and I'll bring number 2's coil over here, but I'm also going to change the spark plug, so I'll take the spark plug out and I'll put it on the other side as well. All right, so let's get in here and get number 2 off. Again, it's 10mm on the bolt. Take the bolt out, just set it aside. Squeeze the plug on the coil, unplug it, and remove the coil. You can give it a little inspect, and I'll see how it looks. Like, it looks okay. Here's the one we pulled from the other side. You know, it doesn't look any different. Doesn't appear to be any visual damage to it. Still looks solid. Now these boots or I don't know if you would call it a wire, what you would call it. These things come off, and you know, you don't want to do that too many times. And this one, both of them are in really good shape. So we're gonna put number 2 coil on the other side once we pull the spark plug out, and I'll put number 5 coil right here, and we'll plug it back in. Now by doing this, in theory, if the coil's bad, that means the engine code, once we clear it, and if it comes back, it won't be 305 anymore. It'll be like 302 or 303, something like that. It'll be a different number. It should be, I think, 302, because that would be cylinder number 2. And that would tell us that the coil was the bad part. So I'm going to go ahead and move the spark plug over to number 4. And that way, if it's a spark plug, we'll get a different code again for the 304 instead of the 305. So yeah, I'll get this coil off, I'll get the spark plug out, I'll get it swapped over there, we'll get it back together, and further continue the testing with starting the truck. Okay, so what we've done is we've taken number 5 coil, I moved it over here to number 2. We've taken number 5 spark plug, I moved it over here to number 4. So now number 5 has the coil from number 2 and the spark plug from number 4, and we've mixed up the problem over here. So now I'm going to go inside, I'm going to clear the code, I'm going to start the vehicle, and it should be almost instantaneous on what part is failed. Should be. It might take a minute, we might have to drive it around the block, who knows, but we should be able to see right away what cylinder the misfire has moved to, in which case we know what part that will be, whether the coil or the spark plug. If the misfire stays on number 5, then we know it's going to be a fuel injector, because that's really the only thing left except the wire harness to the coil pack itself. And if we look at that and there's no frayed wires or no damage there, then I'll look elsewhere. I could take my gauge and measure it out. I'm pretty sure it would be a fuel injector at that point. So yeah, I'm gonna go inside, clear the code, and we'll see what happens. Okay, we're out for a little drive. I don't know if you can see that, but the check engine light, or the service engine soon light, just came on, this same light. So I'm gonna take it back to the house, we'll plug it in, and we'll see what that light says this time. Okay, so we've got the computer plugged back in, got the key on. We're gonna go ahead and scan it again. Now we're looking for something other than P0305, and a good chance I think it's gonna be 302 if that's number 2 cylinder. We'll check it out right now. So yeah, let's do that. Read code. Here we go. What do you think? Reading codes 302. All right, that's exactly what I wanted to see. It's a bad coil. So the misfire moved to number 2 cylinder, which gave us a P0302. That's good news. That's easy to change. We can fix that just by replacing the coil, and we'll be good to go. Now when you have a code like this, it's best to take care of it right away. You don't know what it's doing. Like in my case with this code, you know, it turned out to be the ignition coil. So it could have been one of three things, and then there's even more things it could have been. You know, it could have been the coil, this plug, or the injector. I kind of figured it's not the injector because there was a lot of fuel smell coming out of the exhaust. So that tells me that raw fuel was just coming out, pumping out, and that is bad. You don't want that to go on for too long. For one, you're going to get too much gas in your catalytic converter and it burn your cat. So you don't want to get raw gas down inside your cat, and it'll take a while for it to clear out. So you want to try to get this fixed right away. Now what I did by moving the coil over to number 2, the spark plug to number 4, and then putting those parts back into number 5, it really isolated what the problem could be. And this particular code, it's kind of easy to work with because the 30 whatever, 30X, whatever that number is, tells you what cylinder it is. So because I moved the coil from number 2, it was a 305 code, now it's a 302 code. That tells me the coil is bad. So that's good news in a way. That's a lot easier to fix than the injector. The spark plug's not so bad. You do take the plenum off to change the spark plugs, and I would have changed them all 6 at a time. I wouldn't try to just change one. But they were all just changed a year or so back, maybe 2 years ago. They should be good for a long time to come. And I checked the gap before I put it back in the cylinder, and it was fine. So yeah, I'll just go get a new coil, and we'll swap that coil in, and the truck will be good to go. All right, so thanks for stopping by and checking out my videos. I always come back to DIY Willie for your Frontier 4.0 needs, even the 2.5. We've had some videos on the 2.5 4-cylinder. The mini bikes, of course, the mini bikes, we got some good things coming in the mini bikes, and the Silverados and the Suzuki Samurais. This was easy to diagnose, this problem, one of the easier ones. I'm glad this check engine light, or this trouble code, was the 305. It just made it that much easier. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.